Buongiorno. Gracias. Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me today. Unfortunately, the technology has failed on us during the event, but another technology will help us to stay together. Today, I would like to explain to you and have a conversation about how we can defend our organizations against formidable threat using newly observed domains. My name is Boris. I am Principal Architect at Farsight Security. Before we even start to defend ourselves, we need to understand what we will be defending ourselves against. That's why we will touch on what the threat in the wild is. Then I will explain what newly observed domains are, and then we will touch upon the defenses, how we can effectively defend our businesses, our organizations against formidable threats using newly observed domains. Threat. Our largest in the world sensor network over the internet observes over 2 new domains a second. Why it is important and why it is the figure we need to pay attention at? Very simple. Last year, Palo Alto Research demonstrated that over 70% of newly created domains are not safe to work. There is a difference between newly created domain and newly observed domain, and I will touch on that difference as we go along. But clicking on those links which come to you, to your family, to your business, through phishing, through spam, are quite dangerous. Clicking on those links, our users will be visiting malicious sites and bring back into your premises malware, ransomware, command and control, becoming part of the botnet. That's the threat we are trying to combat with these methods and technology. The other defenses will take time. What are those defenses? Taking down domains, for example, or blocklisting. But what we will be doing in between? Can we have a reliable methods of defense against formidable threat in between those times? Can we give a window opportunity to malicious actors, or we can take the advantage of what we see? Let's look at the malicious life cycle of the newly observed domains. Not necessarily newly observed domain is malicious, but if it is malicious, it most likely will be taken down very quick. That is one of the reasons why malicious cycle is different from the life cycle of the regular business. When you start your project, and you know that domain is required, and you will create a domain, and then you deliver the project, then you test, and then you go live. For malicious purposes, domains are usually being bought through fraudulent activity, so therefore, if fraudulent activity is noticed, domain could be taken down. That is one of the motivations for the criminals to use domains almost immediately. Once you are on the internet and somebody complains or observes the malicious activity, that activity would be blacklisted or taken down, and that is why the abandonment of those domains is a normal mode of operation, and then the criminals start again. So there is a window of opportunity for us to intervene. We just need to know how and when. First, we need to understand how we collect the data. You watch your toaster or your server farm in a cloud provider would need to go to internet, and they go to DNS asking where to go specifically. And that system is a recursive DNS server. Recursive DNS server, if found nothing in their cache, they go over the internet and deliver the answer for you. And this is where our sensors are. It is in principle, this is an architecture and design of this method, that we don't see any personal information, PII. That is why our data are unbiased and verifiable facts and observations which we share with you, our customers and partners. That data comes to Security Information Exchange, being analyzed and stored either in DNSDB, largest and oldest database of passive DNS, or distributed through different channels. The time between our observation and you as a consumer of this data is not greater 120, 180 seconds, depending on the load of our system. As you can see from the slide, we have over 200,000 records observed in a second. So that's a lot of work, and that's why there is a slight delay. So now, can we use it in our advantage? And the answer is absolutely. So what we see on the picture is, if a domain is about to die within 1 week, the greatest contribution would be blocklisting from the companies like Spamhaus, other RBLs. And 50% of those domains will be dead in 1 hour. 51 minutes to be precise. But that is also quite sufficient time for malicious actors to perform their activities. As you can see, 80% of those domains would be dead in 24 hours. And then it would be a long tail. So this is remarkable, and I suggest that you just think about it for a minute. Newly observed domain comes out. If it is about to die in 7 days, 50% of those would be dead in 1 hour, and 80% would be dead in 24 hours. Again, the greatest contribution into the domain death is blocklisting. Our observations were done over a period of 6 months. We looked at 11 million plus domains, and those which survived were around 10 million. So these are the numbers for you to keep in mind. Now, how can we use these domains, newly observed domains, to defend our organizations? As I mentioned previously, domain is being created. This is a domain when it was registered. Then we observe that activity through the large sensors, large number and network of sensors across the internet, over 500 of those. And then we observe them coming and disappearing. Until the blocklisting kicks in, the criminals and malicious actors, they have great opportunity to perform harm. So now, if you think about it and ask a question, what if I will not let my users, my machines, to go to those newly observed domains for an hour? So that means 50% of those which would be blacklisted, you will never see. What if you stop those domains for 24 hours? What if you stop them for 3 days? I would suggest that would all depend on the risk profile of your organization, risk tolerance you have, and many other factors. But the one thing to remember is there is no legitimate reasons for a newly created domains or newly observed domains to go live right away. This is an example of our observations. As you can see here, and what is highlighted in yellow, it is something that potentially might look suspicious. Now, if you would take and not let your users to go there without any even analysis, it would not harm your business or your operations, and you will wait till other reliable defenses will kick in. It would be blocklisting. Highly recommended to use that. Second defense would be take down, but best of us do it maybe in 24 hours. As you remember from previous studies, it might be not sufficient. The speed might not be sufficient to defend your organization. What can we take away from this conversation we just had? Again and utmost, there is no legitimate reason for newly observed domain or newly created domain to that matter to go live immediately. Automatically blocking newly observed domains is safe and very effective method to protect your organization, your business, your home. The solution which uses newly observed domains, called DNS firewall or response policy zone or RPZ. You have heard these terms during today conversation, today presentations, and one of the technology would be from Infoblox, the organizer of this event. And with that, it was a Q&A session, but for you, I put on screen these links to visit and learn more.